Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to North Country Off Grid. Today we're gonna light a bonfire. This whole thing's going up. But before we do, we've got some big logs in it, so we are going to go through and we're gonna cut a little bit more firewood out of this thing. The weather has been raining the last, basically the last week on and off. And tonight it's gonna start raining, and it's gonna rain all day tomorrow, so it's gonna be a good time to do this. It should be down to a coal bed by the time the rain hits tonight and tomorrow, and it should put it all out. Be nice and safe. There's absolutely no wind today, so it's going to be a good time. The wind always does blow to the north, which is directly behind you guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to start the fire on this end and allow it to go that way. And what that's going to do is help keep it minimal, kind of as small as it'll possibly go. That way if we started on the other end and the wind blew it, the whole thing would be on fire at one time and it would be huge. We still want to keep it pretty small. We've got a good buffer on all sides. We'll move the four-wheeler. But we've got a good buffer on all sides, so it should be a pretty safe fire, but we shall see. Fire's dangerous. So we've got some water on hand to keep it down if need be. The fire department's on standby at all times. You just got to dial 3 numbers and they come running, which is pretty cool, but we feel safe about it. It's a good time to do it. With the rain and the moisture all over the ground, it's a great time. It shouldn't catch anything on fire.
It's a way of life, well, we can try, but I got tough and soon my wife knows country.
Alright guys, so we got this thing going. It's taken off pretty good. It's been a little bit bigger, a little bit hotter than I was hoping it would be. When we got back, we just left and came back, started this thing up. When we left, we had over a half of a big tank of water back there. The piglets had gotten out and actually cracked the valve, and so our water tank was sitting here draining while we were gone, unfortunately, and I should have checked it before I started this thing, but we started it up, started grabbing some water, and the idea is just to throw some buckets of water on it every once in a while just to keep the size of it down. Again, there's no wind out here. It's wet, but it's what we were doing just to keep the magnitude of the fire lower. So, Shelby is off to go get some more water. Should take her about 20 minutes to run down and get water, and she'll be back. It's not spreading super fast. This stuff is actually pretty damp, but we want more water on hand, so she's running to grab more right now. So hopefully this thing doesn't take off too much. It is actually almost to the other side of the pile over here, and this is about the biggest part of the pile. Everything else is much thinner, more spread out, so it shouldn't get so big. But it's working and it's doing good. We're watching everything. We don't have any big ambers going up, so everything is really burning down low. We're keeping an eye on stuff. Luckily everything around us has been rained on and it's nice and damp, so we're really not worried. It is a little worrisome just to have this big of a fire in an area like this, but you can see we're over halfway through, and once the majority of this thing kind of burns, the fire will really die down, which I know is Captain Obvious statement, but we won't worry about it so much. So we're just keeping an eye on it, but we are adding buckets of water every once in a while, just sort of kick it down, kind of let it restart, and that's actually making a huge difference. All right, I'll show you guys how much it dies down. I'm going to throw another one just on the mass part of that fire right there. As luck would have it, that's possibly a fire plane flying over right now. It's got some skis on it, so it could be the little water plane. They'll definitely be checking out what's going on. He'll probably do a couple circles. So you guys can see that little bucket, that's just a quarter bucket of water, but that little bucket kicks down the fire quite a bit, and it just keeps it from getting too dang big. See this guy up here looking? All right guys, so this thing has been going about 15 minutes now. There's a slight wind pickup, and it's coming from the north actually, which it usually doesn't come from unless we get some kind of stormy weather. So it's probably an indication of the rain we're going to be getting tonight and then through on the next day coming out of the north. But you can see it's starting to go that way, which is fine. It's going into the biggest part, the biggest opening right here that I have, so I'm not too worried about it. The only issue I have is once it gets down to the other end. As it gets down to this other end, although a lot of this is dirt piled up, but as it gets into this other end, if it continues to shift, it's going to be right here next to these trees. So we might throw just a ton of water on this thing on this end and even just kind of put it out right here and pick up another day. But as you can see, it's burned a huge pile here. That's got some green stuff in there. It's going to start to take off, guys, so I'm going to run and grab some water really quick and throw it on that just to keep it down. This is a very manageable fire right here. This kind of stuff is easy all day. When it's bigger like that and higher up and it has green stuff, that green stuff will take off and it'll go. So we're gonna throw some water on it real quick.
Kinda drove like a bat out of hell because I was a little worried about it.
Atta girl. Hi, Callie. All right, guys, so we're about 25 minutes into this thing. It's burnt quite a bit. This stuff's all doing good here. It is starting to slow a bit right in there, which I figured it would because I know there's a lot of dirt piled up there. Just because there's dirt doesn't mean it doesn't catch on fire. You can see here underneath this, there's plenty of wood underneath these piles, and you can see where it just kind of chases the wood into the pile. But it's a much slower burn, so it's a lot less dangerous. It's more of just a maintenance fire. So another gauge I've been using to decide whether or not to throw water on this thing and when to throw water on this thing is I can feel the heat coming off of it. And at times, like right now, you can feel a breeze coming through. You guys can't feel it, I can feel it. There's a small breeze coming through and you can see it whipping that fire right in there. So when that gets to going, I'll throw some water on it. But again, I'm keeping an eye on like the temperature, feeling the heat coming off of it as well, because if it's super hot, combined with the air speed, just makes it more dangerous. So if we can keep the temperature down, keep the fire down, keep it slower burning, we're good to go. As you can see, we're starting to get to this tail end of the pile here. And this is where the majority of the dirt is, so it should get a little lower and slower, but it's starting to pick up a little bit. The wind's kicking up, so I'm gonna get some more water on it. All right, guys, so we're coming to an end of this thing. It looks like it's about to finish burning off down there, and then it's going to be just a smolder bed all night, and we'll just keep an eye on that. And it's going to be really easy to not make that spread, because we are just surrounded by dirt. So we'll keep throwing water on it, stirring the pile, all the things you need to do to properly put out a fire. Now guys, when we started this, we made a very big mistake. We had a plan A, we had a plan B. Plan A, light it on fire, have it out in this safe area, make sure it's not going to jump or spread. Plan B was to have a big bucket of water here to be throwing, or the tank of water, to be throwing a bunch of water on top of it and just to maintain it. Our mistake was we didn't check our tank. We didn't check the tank right before we started. The fire's burning my neck, I gotta scoot over. So we didn't get a tank, we didn't make sure the tank was full when we first started, which was a huge mistake. So Shelby did have to run and go get it. Luckily nothing happened. We were able to maintain the fire until Shelby got back with a big old tank full of water. And then we just used it to continue to throw buckets here and there, small buckets, to just keep it down. So guys, if you are gonna do this kind of stuff, make sure that you're using common sense out here. It doesn't take much to light something on fire and for it to jump. Again, we picked a day where it had just been raining. The last few days, the ground is very wet. Everything around here is very wet. There was no wind today, lightly kicked up, which just goes to show you, just because there isn't wind doesn't mean there won't be wind. So you gotta be aware of that kind of stuff. And even though you take all the precautions to do all the things you need to do to try and safely have a big slash pile burn like this, things go wrong, things can happen, the weather can shift. There's just so many elements to this that you kind of got to prepare for and plan for. And I'll tell you what, guys, sometimes even though you do everything that you need to do to try and make the right decisions, your fire will jump. And I'm going to put a link in the description, show you guys exactly what can happen, and it can go from a well-maintained, smart, did the right thing fire while it's raining, whatever, and it can jump and it can cause mayhem. So you guys go down there, check out that link after you watch this video. Alright guys, so that's it for this. We're just going to let it burn down now. I appreciate you guys coming and watching. I hope you can take something from this video of our successes as well as the mistakes that we made. Anytime you can spread a little bit of knowledge or just kind of show people an error that could possibly take place, it's very valuable. So there it is, guys. It's a simple slash burn. Presented a bit of a danger, but we got through it. So now it's just maintaining this thing, keeping an eye on it, and then we'll watch it completely throughout the night, continue to put water on it, continue to rake all around it, make sure nothing jumps, nothing spreads. Alright guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.